Hi, and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at the technical analysis on the 1 hour, 1 day, and 1 week timeframes, and giving my thoughts and opinions on what I think is likely to happen next after everything that happened yesterday. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. If you haven't joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check that out. Link is in the description down below. Let's waste no more time. Let's jump right down into this, kicking things off with the 1 hour time frame. Here we have a Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We are on the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 exchange. One of the things I found very interesting about this is the particular wick in question taking us up higher is missing here. Some odd data going on right here. They've removed the wick to the high side on the hourly, but it is there and is present on, I was going to say on the daily. No, that's gone from the daily. So, it's got an interesting kind of vibe here. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go on over and check out this on the Binance chart, because that is where it currently sits. I'm going to just switch everything over here to Binance because price did go there, and I want to make sure that everything in our analysis is correct for the price going there. So let's go and kick things off here. Using Bitcoin USDT pair on the Binance chart. And here we can see that we did get a change of characterization from bearish to bullish based on this structure, but we can go ahead and just zoom out here so we can kind of take stock of what happened. So price went up on the fake news of a Bitcoin spot ETF approval for BlackRock. It's obviously fake news. Whether, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 was compromised or whether it was an inside job, I don't know the details of that. I don't think anyone's ever really going to know the truth of it. But there will be an excuse nonetheless. It probably already is. I haven't caught up with the news just yet. I've kind of up early and thought I'd just jump straight on here and record the video. So if you do know what's happened there or what the excuse is, let me know in the comments down below. It'll be interesting to kind of read up on what 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 is saying regarding that. But we can see here on Binance, price moved exactly to $30,000 to the penny. This is no oddity when it comes to Binance. Everything moves to the penny there pretty much when you have big movements. It's far too often and way too common for it to be considered normal. Okay, but it's not just Binance. We saw this on BitGet as well at 30,200 to the penny. So everything was kind of, there was lots of sell orders, obviously at these key levels. Price was suppressed very, very quickly when it hit this threshold here, and it came crashing all the way back down. And of course, there wasn't really enough demand to kind of take it up higher to keep it buoyant, considering that there wasn't verified source at that point in time. And of course, it came out that it was fake. And we were probably one of the first people to say on Twitter that it looked like a compromised Twitter account on 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 as it was out of context of everything else, and they kept getting deleted and reposted, deleted and reposted, and so forth. So I suspect that either there was a rogue employee, which is option 1, or option 2, that their APIs were leaked and they kind of a hacker got access to it, whatever. Nonetheless, price went up into this range regardless of kind of the how and the why, and so that does change our analysis. So when we take a look at this, what do we see? What I do see is a WXYXZ pattern, and I'm going to check to see whether that is a valid idea here on the Binance chart. So let's go ahead and sense check this. It shouldn't be, but it fits quite nicely in there, as you can kind of see. So yeah, right here you can see it comes to the 1.236. It shouldn't have been considered at this point here. It should not have been considered a WXYXZ. This should have been a 3-wave correction down and up, but we do hit 1.618 right there, and that actually ties in very nicely with the idea of W, X, Y, X, and Z. So I'm going to leave it like that, even though realistically speaking it should not have been, but we know the circumstances behind it also shouldn't have driven the price to this particular area. The main idea here is that we consider what a WXYXZ pattern means. It means it's a short short-term correction, and in this particular case, it was to the upside. Okay, so hitting this Z wave high, it means that essentially we are done here with this move upwards, and we need to start thinking about corrections to the downside. Now, let's take this up into the daily time frame. From the daily time frame, as you can kind of see here, we're tracking this big idea of a bear flag. This is something from a while back, as you can kind of see. We were looking to not push as high as we did, but nonetheless, we kind of got to this point in time. We can see here that we did break down from our trend line. If I extend this up, you can kind of see here we've broken out of this. We are now in that bearish movement to the downside. This hasn't changed. Even this move to the upside here, it hasn't changed the idea that we are still in this bearish structure. And we do look, although we've broken out of the 5-wave pattern on the daily time frame. That was something that we were tracking. We're tracking 1, 2, kind of idea of 3, 4, and 5 like this, right? That's broken out, obviously, now. We can't do that. However, we do have to consider that actually we are in the potential for a W, X, and Y. If this is the case, then we are going to be looking for a pretty interesting move to the downside. That will, if I actually move this down to $30,000, so if I can get that exact. If I move this to $30,000, as you can kind of see me just doing here, this will allow us to see our most likely expectations on that Y wave, which will be between the 1 and the 1.236 Fibonacci retracement areas. And let me just see if we can get there. There we go. That basically puts us right in here in this little sweet spot, basically 22,170 to 23,488, right? And that's the Y wave structure. So a lot like our 5-wave pattern that we were talking about, where we had the expectation of 22 to 23. Well, the Y-wave pattern has exactly the same target range. So it's not that big breakout to the upside really has changed our macro outlook. It's still very much the same. The thing that it has done, though, is it has risen our stochastic RSI, as you can see here, up towards that overbought area. This is not a good sign for Bitcoin on this daily time frame, as it will be an indication that we are going to be looking for further downside, and it's probably going to be a lot steeper than people probably first kind of acknowledge or want. Ultimately, my expectation is that we're going to be hitting down on this $23,000. Not only did we see this with our 5-wave pattern, but this number has reoccurred again under a Y-wave pattern as well. So that kind of is telling me that there's an expectation from the emotional retail investors, or from the smart money, the institutional level investors, when we're tracking the behavior, whether we are tracking that from an impulsive 5-wave movement or from a corrective WXY wave movement, we see ourselves with the same numbers being called out. That means that essentially the behaviors of people's trading habits are indicating to us through multiple different angles $22,000 to $23,000. It's very interesting. So for me, that's where we're looking. That's where we're targeting on the daily time frame, and it might take a couple of weeks to get there, but yeah, that's kind of where I think we are heading. I don't think we're going up. I do not think we are in a bullish market. There might be a lot of demand for a Bitcoin spot ETF, but I didn't really see that from the numbers. We moved up quite a bit, but not to the kind of levels that you would expect of a Bitcoin spot ETF. So essentially those people trying to buy the rumor, sell the news, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I think it really was just a liquidity grab. We saw over $100 million of liquidations occurring yesterday in that kind of time period. So interesting. Move this out to the weekly. It's really just a blip on the radar. Interesting though. So we can see here that we are still above that 50 EMA on the weekly chart, and that hasn't changed. But I think that's going to over the next little while. There will be some hopium out there. Golden Cross is looming on the weekly chart, but I don't think it's in actually a really good spot to see positivity around that. I would be nervous about how high this stochastic RSI is. If we draw a trend line on there, as you can kind of see, we're up into the upper area of resistance. Whether we're going to break through that and, you know, stay a little bit higher, it's going to be yet to be seen. But for the most part, my expectation here is just aligned to the daily. We will be looking for a correction to the downside. The 50 SMA crossing the 200 EMA might get called out in the media as a golden cross, but as we saw previously, these things don't always play out as expected, and it could just be a way to grab more liquidity out of the market. I think there's been a lot of liquidity grabbing and a lot of manipulation going on with the BTC price, and wouldn't be surprised if the rug gets pulled from a lot of retail investors. But I'm going to leave this video there. there. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on that in the comments down below. And if you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.